Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Did you
Okay.
pull your PowerPoint up yet?
I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, last one of the day. You guys have made it, and I'm sure I'm the only thing keeping you all between a nice, cool refreshment. I know that I'm definitely going to have a beer tonight after all of this. So, and you've got me on camera recording saying that that's exactly what I'm going to do. So you can hold me to it. I first just want to start off kind of tying in some of the earlier conversations that we have about how to manage expectations with vegetation management, because we're going to talk about a few different things. Honestly, I think Derek and I's presentations complement each other really well, with him focusing more on bare ground stuff. I'm going to focus a little bit more on woody plant species, as well as noxious weeds for grass release situations, and even get into some sensitive site pieces. Especially as we talk about woody plants. I get a lot of calls in Colorado about Gamble oak, as well as tamarisk and Russian olive. And the list that you see up there are always questions I'm going to ask. There's a big difference between trying to treat a tree that is 1 foot tall versus 1 foot in diameter. And a lot of times the conversations that I have, I'm not trying to kill somebody's dreams, but I do want to be sure that we've got the right budget in mind, because once in a while, I'll talk with somebody who knows that they want to do something as it pertains to cleaning up Gamble oak, for example, but they only want to use one product. They're only going to use X amount, and they really don't want to go back and retreat. And it's all about managing expectations. It's really, really difficult to get even 80% control on some of these really heavily infested areas. But the good thing is that with the treatments that we're going to talk about, you can still be selective to the grasses and forbs. So even if you might have to go back 2 years after, you're going to be a lot better off using something that's more selective rather than using something like Polaris, for example, that's going to control not only your woody plant, but it's also going to leave a bunch of bare ground. We always want to go back and see how things worked afterwards. I've really enjoyed getting to go out with crews and spray after they've cut. And it's a great tool also when we talk about woody plant species. If you're looking for more ways to broaden your application window, I've got a slide later on where we'll talk about some treatments that you can actually do pretty much year round. So maybe save some of your precious spray days in June, July, and August for the plants that have to be sprayed while they're up. And some of these, we can get done in the winter months. So we are going to dig into some more of these selective, sensitive options here. These are some of the sites that I get questions on where it's like, I really don't know that I should use Duracore or Milestone here. We can use Duracore up to water's edge as long as we are minimizing overspray. But when we talk about seasonal irrigation ditch banks, this is a big no-go zone for most residual products. But we're going to talk about some mixes that you can use in those situations. And then I always am calling my California guys because they deal with a lot of ornamentals and different specialty trees where even if I trust the applicator and I trust that we can stay away from them, remember it's all about risk. If something were maybe to not go as planned, I really want to try and protect you guys from something that could potentially happen. Just good peace of mind. So these are the products that we're going to focus on. Vastlan and Freelex are choline formulations, and we'll talk more about what choline means to you. But we're going to start with the bottom two, Transline and Vista, and how they kind of fit in. So Transline is, the active ingredient is clopyralid. It is closely related to milestone, but some key differences are unparalleled conifer safety. So this is used a lot on Canada thistle. If you've got it in tree breaks, it has a very similar label and spectrum to milestone, but it's just a little kinder to your desirable trees that you want to keep around. It's also got a shorter residual time. So if you're comparing Canada thistle control to Duracor versus Transline, Duracor is going to outcompete it, but it's a much safer option to use in those sensitive areas. Vista is one of the actives in Helena's trump card. Vista is straight fluroxapyr. It is the go-to for kochia. It has post control only. Whatever it touches the day that you spray is what it's going to have activity on. You will also notice on the Vista XRT label that there is an asterisk next to kochia control. Minimum 14 ounces if we're going after kochia, and I really don't like to go under 16. Our bare ground specialist who puts together all the prescriptions for the railroad, when they do kochia cleanup, he's going 20 ounces. It also will recommend that you tank mix a 2,4-D or dicamba. So Trump Card really fills that nicely if you aren't wanting to tank mix a lot of different things together. Trump Card by Helena is a good one. It's also a very good burn down. So if you are spraying Pasture or rights of ways that have prickly pear, or want to see a little bit more activity in your mixes, Vista is naturally going to heat up anything that you put with it. So a Vista Duracor mix is going to be pretty spicy. So keep that in mind if you are adding Vista to a tank mix. You are going to get more burn down out of it versus if it's just standalone. Okay, so going back to some of the things we talked about earlier with environmental stewardship. Drift and volatility are things that we continue to talk about. And with more and more of the acreages and ranchettes getting closer together, the risk of what you could drift or volatilize onto becomes much higher. I can't even believe driving down the county road where my folks live, just how many more acreages there are. And I'm like, man, we never had to worry about spraying soybeans or corn right next to somebody's garden. And now that's just common. So with that being said, a lot of the same ag products that we use on the crop side, we also have here. You look at 2,4-D and what that product still does for us, both in crop as well as veg management. You know, it still fits a lot of territory. Plus, I know a lot of you guys are going across multiple different use sites, and having a product with a broad label that can allow you to go where the weeds are is really important. So 2,4-D still does a lot of that. But when you look at when this product was created, 1944 was a little ways ago. So we want to be sure that we are utilizing good technology, but we certainly want to keep tools in the toolbox that are working for us. So the analogy I like to use is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, maybe you've never had a problem with 2,4-D drifting or volatilizing. But I'll tell the story of my sister Madeline, who I have two sisters, for those of you that don't know. I'm the oldest, and then Madeline and Grace. And my dad had all of us drive station wagons to school. And yes, my dad's name is Clark, so the Griswold jokes are just constant. But at any rate, we loved our Buick station wagons. They were awesome. And Madeline was driving to school, and the car just quit on her while she was driving up the hill. And she just rolled straight back down, and Rich's Welding is right there at the bottom of the hill. So she basically just rolled into his place, and no problem. No one was behind her or nothing. But she now is a pharmacy resident in Knoxville, Tennessee. Same thing could have happened there, but very different outcome. So what is that risk worth to you? Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it won't ever happen. And that's where the new choline formulated products have really changed the game when it comes to safely making applications on more days and more places. So this is a bit of a technical slide, but I do like how this breaks down why choline is different. So when you spray a 2,4-D amine or ester into the air, you can see that is the top slide here. It is in an unstable format, so it wants to pick up and move. That's where you get that like that strong 2,4-D smell. I know you guys have that scent like burnt in your head if you had it in your shop. Like it's a very distinct pungent scent. The way that a choline is formulated on the bottom here, it's a rearrangement of the molecules. So when it reacts with the air, it's actually in a stable format. So it wants to stay exactly where you spray. So these products have reduced scent, drift, and volatility all by over 90%. So Freelex is the 2,4-D choline product. I absolutely love the label of this product. Full aquatic, VM, and range and pasture label. It also has a turf grass label and grass is grown for seed. So almost anywhere that you guys might be spraying in the in-between ag areas, you can use this product. There is also no heat restrictions. I have had Utah guys call me and just say, Claire, we are so excited we can still be spraying 2,4-D when it gets above 90 degrees. Freelex is also one of those products that I recommend on seasonably dry irrigation ditch banks. Actually, Judd Fitzgerald, Rick's counterpart with Helena, was calling about a specific situation dealing with potable water. Freelex has a very flexible label in some of those aquatic specific sites. So this has been really filling some good voids for us. If you like to do foliar applications, Freelex plus Vastland, this next product, is going to be the mix for you. So Vastland is our Triclopyr choline formulation. Same or similar labeling, full aquatic, full range and pasture, and VM label. This is going to be the baseline of a lot of the recommendations that I give in the seasonably dry irrigation ditch bank. Vastland plus Freelex is a go-to there. It also has a warning signal word. So when we talked earlier about, updating those chemistries so they are safer, Vastland compared to 3A is going to have a much more favorable label there. Extremely grass safe. I know that not all of our customers like the stewardship that's mandatory with spraying Duracore or Milestone. Vastland plus Freelex is a great option if you want to spray and be able to cut and move off farm without that labeling, or if the manure is going to be used in compost or garden situations. Vastland and Freelex would be a non-residual option there. The scent difference between this and if you've dealt with like a Garlon 3A or Garlon 4, it is like night and day. I continue to get more feedback from applicators about how well these mix as well. Vaseline and Freelex play very well in the tank with other products. So feel free to tank mix Freelex plus Duracore, Vaseline plus Escort plus Duracore is a really nice foliar treatment on woody plant species. I really like that mix on salt cedar, especially this time of year. So one of the other things I kind of alluded at earlier was the that Rinsecore Active in Duracore. So Duracore is Milestone plus Rinsecore. We are seeing increased activity on brush. And I'm going to show you all some pictures that we're going to really hit home a couple things. One, it's not what you take, but what you leave behind, but then also hopefully give you all another tool in the toolbox for foliar treatments on woody plants. So we still should have some good days yet this season. If you do miss the window and leaves start to fall, don't fear, we'll talk about what you can do for a dormant stem application. So Russian olive, probably something that you guys have seen. Milestone by itself, with Triclopyr, Milestone can be additive, but by itself, it's really not great on woody plants. I think that's why Tordon has still been such a choice in a lot of areas, because you do start to pick up more brush. Duracore by itself actually did a pretty darn fantastic job, and check out the grass release below too. That's just fantastic, exactly what we want to see. Duracore plus Vaseline even bumped that up a little bit. So even if you're getting into the hot days of the season, Vaseline has little to no odor. Very similar with Duracore, little to no odor. So you're keeping your risk low there. So Duracore plus Arsenal also certainly had good control. But that scary ring of death is not great for public perception or for our restoration solution. I would almost say that in a lot of ways, we maybe took a step backwards before we took a step forward. Now, in a lot of cases, this might be okay. If you can stand to lose that amount of grass, okay. But in a lot of situations, that would not be acceptable. So Vaseline plus Duracore is going to control brush, but also keep your understory of grass there and available. All right, so feel free to take a picture of this slide. Otherwise, I will also send this to Bonnie. I talked about foliar treatment. I don't really like that we have the months here, but here's rule of thumb on foliar treatment. As soon as leaves are fully put on, your foliar season starts. As soon as leaves start to drop, your foliar season ends. The worst thing that we can see from a foliar treatment is if you immediately spray and then those leaves drop off. That means we did not have a lot of time for that product to really translocate. Another thing I've seen in the field is using too hot of a surfactant. I really like Helena's Dynamic. Using a non-ionic surfactant in your foliar treatments is going to increase your activity of your herbicide, but not so much that we actually stress that plant and force the leaves off of it. You'll notice that the season that your foliar treatment ends, you have a window where your dormant stem begins. So we are actually making applications on woody plants without foliage on them in the winter months. So you're painting those stems very similar like you would a foliar treatment, but there are no leaves there. And then of course your basal bark or cut stump treatments. Those are treatments that you could be doing in the winter months as well. So maybe save in some of those more timely applications that have to get done in the spring and summer. You'll just increase the amount of acres that you can cover that way. here's a couple go-tos for woody plant control. If you are doing a cut stump or basil application, I still recommend the ester formulation of Triclopyr. So Garlon 4 Ultra plus Duracor is going to be a really fantastic treatment for cut stump or basil bark. Foliar treatment we talked about. I really like the addition of a 1/2 ounce of Escort with this as well. I have seen it bump up activity, especially on follow-up treatments of Russian olive and salt cedar. So, couple things to remember. Even though we make chemistry and we certainly can utilize a lot of our chemistry to solve problems, a lot of times cutting or using some kind of mechanical treatment is going to be necessary as well. So utilizing all tools in the toolbox is going to really help us out in the long run. Surfactants will make or break your application, guys, especially when it comes to woody plant applications. Even when we get into hot, dry situations, if you're using a good branded surfactant, that can mean the difference between success and failure, even if you're using the right products out there. And as always, remember, it's not what you take, but what you leave behind. So keep in mind that roadmap, where you want to go. As it pertains to woody plants, sometimes you may have to take a few fallen soldiers in order to move forward. But we want to be sure that we are keeping as much of our desirable species there as possible. That's going to be your best defense against any other invaders coming in if you've got desirables already there. So I've got a few minutes left here, and I did save this for the end. There has been some realignment in our range and pasture and land management business. We really wanted to get focused on some specific states and specific markets. And Colorado, as part of my geography, has really operated on its own. You guys have a lot going on here and deserve to have somebody who's going to be dedicated to the Colorado markets. So I'm going to turn it over to Katie Koenig. She is going to be your new range and pasture and land management rep for Corteva, covering Colorado, Western Kansas, and Western Nebraska. She's in the process of moving to Colorado. I am still with Corteva. You guys aren't going to get rid of me that easy. I have just relocated to Helena, Montana, and will cover Montana, Wyoming, and West River, North and South Dakota. So this is Katie's contact info. She officially starts October 1, but I'll let her hop on and introduce herself. I'm so excited for you guys to get her. She has been super fun to work with and onboard, and I'm really lucky that I get to continue to work with her.
Thanks, Claire. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I'm going to try and turn my video on. You'd think I would have zoomed down by now. Okay, there we go. So yeah, my name's Katie Koenig. I'm originally from northeastern Missouri, so this whole rangeland market is very different than what I'm used to, but I interned 2 summers with Corteva. My last summer was with the range and pasture in the southeastern part of the US, so I kind of just have been traveling around the US until I found a spot that I liked. I graduated from Oklahoma State University, and I got hired on right away with my passion in range and pasture and pasture land management. So I was very honored. I worked as an ATM in Eastern Kansas, and then with this territory realignment, I was honored to apply for this position and actually put some focus and time into Colorado that I think, echoing with Claire, that I know you guys have not been able to receive, even though Claire is awesome and she's going to be a very hard person to follow up on. But I do want to reassure you guys, I am new, I am young, but there's 3 qualities that I have that I know will play very well into it. I will work as hard as you guys want me to, or as hard as you guys do. I'm not afraid to ask questions. So if I don't know, I'm going to have resources and I can pick up the phone and call you guys back. So if you have questions and you reach out to me and I don't know, I will find a way to figure out an answer and I will call you back. So I just want to ensure you guys there. I will be covering Western Nebraska and Western Kansas as well, but my main focus is in Colorado. And if there's a day or anything that you think I should be out there spraying with you all, let me know. My hobby is horses, but so I may put that into, oh, if I've got a braille race somewhere to go to, but I will try and be there as much as I can for you guys. So if you have anything, this is my contact information. Feel free to contact me, and Claire will always be a phone call away from me too.
Thanks,
Cool, thank you.
Katie.
You guys have any questions for Katie or Claire? Good test question for him? No? All right. I guess you guys are off the hook, Claire. All right. Well,
All
thank you
right.
so much.
Thanks, guys.